Hello, and welcome back to my channel, Talented Reads. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in November. I read a total of 10 books and a total of 2,117 pages. My average rating was a 3.7, and I read 1 ebook, 2 audiobooks, and 7 physical books. For star ratings, I had 1 5-star, 3 4 stars, 4 3.5 stars, and 2 3-star books. I read 5 new releases, which are books that came out this year, 4 backlist books, which are books that came out 2020 or prior, and 1 ARC. And ARC stands for Advanced Reader Copy, which is for books that are coming out in the future. Alright, let's get into all the books. I'm doing a horror challenge this year in which I read a group of books associated with a specific subgenre of horror, which is based on a graphic that I found from a horror blog, which I think this original intent was for movies, but I found it on the internet. I will do a dedicated horror wrap-up video next week for what I read in November, so let's just talk through those couple of books really quick here. First is The Mist by Stephen King. This is about David and his son Billy, who head into town to the local grocery store to stock up on supplies following a freak storm. But once they're there, they get trapped by the mist. The Fisherman by John Langan. I'm going to read the synopsis because after reading this, I believe that you should go into this not knowing a whole lot. In upstate New York, in the woods around Woodstock, Dutchman's Creek flows out of the Ashconian Reservoir. Steep-banked, fast-moving, it offers the promise of fine fishing and of something more, a possibility too fantastic to be true. All right, let's get into the rest of the books. November was my birthday month, and I did a birthday vlog in which I did some fun birthday things and unwrapped presents from my 2 lovely besties. I will link that vlog in the description box if you want to check it out. But in that vlog, I read 2 books. First is The Laws of the Skies by Gregory Courteau. This is about a group of young kids who go on an overnight camp trip with their teacher and 2 chaperones. From the first chapter, you know that none of them make it out alive. So the book is about, like, what goes down on this camping trip. It's a short but mighty read. There are a few things that I think you would expect to happen knowing people are trying to survive in the wilderness. And then some things that you don't expect to happen. There were some pretty good twists, and I will say it's definitely not for the faint of heart. I personally enjoyed this one, and it is a translated work. I believe it's translated from French. Second is The Depths by Nicole Lesperance. Addie is recovering from a diving accident, and so she is forced to tag along to a remote island for her mom's honeymoon. While she's there, she experiences a ghostly encounter and discovers that the island responds to her. So I thought this one was all right. There was a couple of different mysteries happening simultaneously. And, you know, it does kind of wrap up and kind of pull together all at the end. But I think we could have gotten to the same place with maybe without a couple of the mysteries. You know, I found some of them just not as interesting. Although I will say I thought the descriptions and kind of the characterization of the island itself was very well done. And I kind of wish that that had just been the main mystery. I really wanted to see more of just the island, because I thought that was what was kind of giving the book life and atmosphere. The ghostly encounters were okay. And there was kind of a romance aspect to it, which I didn't really care for. It felt a little immature, which I know Addie is just a teenager, so I know it's meant to be, you know, young love, but still just, I don't know, wasn't my favorite thing, so. The one arc that I read this month is The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. This is about Harriet, who is engaged to Edward, an heir to an extremely powerful and very wealthy family. As Harriet engages with the family, she learns of their traditions, which of course include a game. But this game has very high stakes, as Harriet learns, and one of the family members has committed murder. Dun, dun, dun. This was just another okay read for me. There were parts of this that I really enjoyed, like the Krampus party. I kind of want to have a Krampus party now. I also loved the bits of the audio recording that we got to kind of hear with this very powerful confession. I thought that that helped to really amp up the tension in the book, and you really get a feel for just how powerful this family is, which also just helps really set the stage for the last party and the big game of the book. You know, you start to fear for Harriet, and I was so engaged with those chapters. I couldn't wait to find out how everything was going to play out. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Donna, seems like you liked a lot about this book, so why in the hell did you give it 3.5 stars? Well, mainly because I really wished for a different ending. I will say I was surprised at the final reveal, but it was so not what I wanted to happen, which just made it feel like a major letdown. And also, you know, part of the plot is Harriet receives this tape, which has this confession on it, and she kind of dragged her feet listening to the audio tapes, which I know the point of that was to drag out the plot, but I think in any real situation, someone would be like obsessed about having to know what's on this tape and would have listened to the whole thing like at the first go. Maybe that's just me. I read 2 audiobooks this month. First was Finding Me by Viola Davis. This is a memoir by the internationally acclaimed actress, Viola Davis. Reading the synopsis because it sets it up perfect. This is my story, from a crumbling apartment in Central Falls, Rhode Island, to the stage in New York City and beyond. This is the path I took to finding my purpose, but also my voice in a world that didn't always see me. Memoirs, I think, are kind of hard to rate because I don't want to feel like I'm rating someone's personal experience. So obviously my rating is just about the structure of the book and how I felt while reading it. But I give this like full 5 stars. I would give it even more stars if we weren't on a 5-star scale. Viola's craft of her story is just beautiful. I love how she sets the stage of this just traumatic child that has carried her experiences and how that shaped her as an adult. I thought that was just truly beautiful. And, you know, a lot of people can obviously relate to feeling that way. You know, experiences that we have as a child are very impactful to who we are as a person. And she really nailed that with the craft of her story. I did originally listen to this on audio, which is narrated by Viola herself. And I truly recommend listening to it. Viola's voice, you know, in the parts where she's had some rough happenings in her life, you can hear that impact even now, still in her voice. There's hope. You know, she laughs at a couple spots, and one of my favorite parts of the book is when she recalls her time spent with a tribe in Africa, and she speaks part of the language that she's obviously carried with her throughout her life, and it was just beautiful. That part had me in tears. And after finishing this on audio, I went out and bought myself a copy, which I'm happy it did because it has a lot of the pictures from her childhood and adult and, you know, her time on stage and all of that, which obviously you missed from the audio. But I would like to go back and reread this and listen to the audio while physically reading it. There's a lot of stuff that I remember thinking, God, if I had the physical copy, like, I would have saved this page. You know, I just want to go back and annotate and tab a bunch of stuff. I loved Viola Davis as an actress, and now I just respect her and love her even more. So, fantastic read. Second was Psycho by Robert Bloch. This is about Norman Bates, who runs the Bates Motel. Mary Crane, running from her life, stops in, but never checks out. This was a little kind of surprising to me. I mean, I've watched the Psycho movies. I love the Bates Motel TV series. I know the story of Norman the Bates. And yet I still found myself still liking and being surprised at the final reveal, which was kind of surprising. This was a shorter story than I thought it would be, which is really what caused my rating to drop. Like, I liked kind of the mystery and the reveal, and the little twist, but I wanted more, and there wasn't any more. So, yeah, the audiobook was very well done. All right, only a couple books left. The Vicious Circle by Catherine St. John. Deep in the Mexican jungle is Xanadu, a wellness center run by self-help guru Paul and his wife Kali. When Paul mysteriously dies, his entire estate, as well as his vast fortune, is left to his niece Sveta. Sveta, shocked by the news, travels to Xanadu to pay her respects and visit the wellness center. But she soon uncovers some shocking secrets, and what began as a fun trip turns very dangerous. I'm happy to say I've got another good cult read from this year. I love the atmosphere of where this was set. The author did such a good job building up the jungle and the hot and the sticky and the sweat and the sounds, and just everything made me feel like I was deep in the jungle with everybody. And I know this one has gotten a lot of mixed reviews, but I enjoyed it. I thought the mystery of the cult, and kind of what was happening and, how it came about and all of that was a good twist. The interactions between all of the characters, kind of helped push the narrative along. I never felt like there were some slow spots. Well, maybe in the beginning. But yeah, I also really appreciated the character growth that Sveta had. It was not a happy ending, but it was an ending that felt right for the story. So I was very happy with that. Next is The Last Party by Claire McIntosh. It's New Year's Eve and Ray's Lloyd is having a massive party at this vacation lake house. But later, Ray's is found floating in the lake. And DC Morgan is on the case. This was just an okay mystery for me. I thought it was a pretty general detective-focused mystery. I don't know that I would call it a thriller because I didn't really feel any intense scenes. I didn't really care for Ray's as a character, which made the whole plot of finding his killer just something that I didn't care about. I also found the two detectives to be a little boring. One was super standoffish and one was having relationship problems, both of which I also didn't care about. This is the first book in a new series, and I just don't think I'll be picking up any more books with this detective character. So, yeah. And lastly is Where the Black Stars Rise by Nadia Shamus and Marie Ender. This is a graphic novel about Dr. Armal Robertin, who is a therapist in training that finds herself out of her element with her new client, Yasmin, a schizophrenic who is being visited by a malevolent presence. This definitely wasn't a favorite, but wasn't all that bad. The graphics were bold and almost harsh. They were bright. Well, I'd say you got a good mix of bright with some dark. But, a lot of really harsh, dramatic lines that kind of cut into the graphic, which I thought was a unique choice and made for a very interesting style as the graphics part. The story moved at a pretty quick pace and eventually kind of went into a weird place that I don't know that I fully understood what was happening. They talked about the character being obsessed with, was it The Man in the Yellow Wallpaper or something like that, which I've never read that, so maybe if I have read that I might have had a little better understanding, but yeah. And I thought it had some good social commentary on just therapy in general, and kind of finding your roots. But yeah, it was an okay read. So that's all I have for this video. Drop a comment below and let me know how your November reading went. Do you have any new favorites? Any surprises from your reads? Also, mark your calendars. I will be uploading a video every day. Yes, you heard that correctly, every day, during the 12 days of Christmas. So the 12 days starts December 25th and goes through January 6th. So lots of hopefully exciting content planned for them. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.